I am recording this. Fair warning.
Is that really necessary?
Look, Joe, 6 feet.
Ari Aster, one of the most interesting directors working today. With movies like Hereditary, Midsommar, and Beau is Afraid, he's definitely one of the best directors working today. And definitely one of the directors that has his own style and doesn't back down from it. In this movie, Eddington, he once again teams up with Joaquin Phoenix, who he worked with in Beau is Afraid. And this is very much so a satire, a political satire. But it doesn't really judge anyone. It doesn't really judge any political side. Instead, everyone is as guilty as the next person in this movie. And it's very much so about how society changed after 2020 and the COVID virus. And how that changed how people behaved, how people talked, how people communicated with each other, and also how much misinformation was spread, and how people go into believing things that echoes, basically having their own echo chambers for their own beliefs and not believing anything else outside of that, breaking down our shared reality. And basically letting everyone have their own reality. And sure, privately you have your own reality, but there are things that we as a people should agree upon when discussing things, and that can be proven without putting personal biases towards it. And that's what this movie is about, really. We just have our own biases and don't believe anything else outside of that bubble. And also that some companies are at guilt for that. Like the companies making AI possible. Even though AI can be a good tool if used responsibly, it also has the more bad side to it when you can create a video or you can make a person do something that they didn't do in a video and present it as fact. Well, not presented as fact, but when people see something as realistic as that, they most of the time believe that they saw the real thing, unless they look at it properly and know where to look to see if it's AI. Ari Aster admitted that he wrote the script based on how he felt under 2020 and after 2020, the angst he felt about it. And the angst he still feels when it comes to misinformation and what people believe today, how AI makes those beliefs even more possible because it's misinformation spread as reality, which basically leads to a very misinformed society. And that's why there are so many arguments online, for example. People just stating opinions instead of listening to each other, having real discussions instead of just stating an opinion and being mad about a disagreement. The movie discusses these things in a very in-depth way. There's really nothing wrong with having an opinion, but it should be an informed opinion, because if it involves several people, more people than yourself, then it should be based on facts and not what you want it to be. And the movie is about those things, and it's really wonderful, really, that a movie dares to take those things up in its script and its storytelling and tell a very engaging story based on that. Because we do live in a time where there is a lot of information being spread through social media and through the internet overall. And you can basically see that through social media in different comment sections. Everyone is basically arguing about everything, not really taking the time to see the facts about what they are talking about, and AI has made that harder to take, to learn and see the facts about a certain subject. Because if it looks as realistic as it's starting to look, then you just believe it's that what you see. You believe what you see. Even though it's easier than ever to manufacture events today. Manufacture someone doing something they didn't do, but in a too realistic way that it's hard for someone watching it to see if it's real or not, at least in general. Because even though AI is very realistic, when you put into context on what's happening in the video itself, you can often decode if it's real or not. But many can't do that. In this movie, Joaquin Phoenix, he plays the sheriff of the town of Eddington, Joe Cross, and Pedro Pascal plays the mayor, Ted Garcia. The movie takes place in May 2020. The mayor enforces a lockdown and mask mandates based on the governor's orders at state level. The sheriff Joe Cross, he disapproves of this because he believes mandates violate people's freedom of choice. And I know that sounds like a preaching movie, but it's really not. The movie is smart enough to not take sides, and it really doesn't. As I said before, it speaks more about the misinformation and the attitude that got out of that period of time when COVID started and continued afterwards. The movie is essentially saying that we can't unite anymore on a ground level fact, on a shared reality. You don't have to believe what I believe, and I don't have to believe what you believe, but we can agree on some ground terms and have some mutual respect surrounding that. That's basically what the movie is saying a lot. We can all have our personal beliefs as long as they don't break our societal systems that we have built. And the movie is a lot about that. And it takes aim at almost everyone. The right, the left, media, everyone. And that's what makes the movie very effective. Because everyone has taken that to an extreme in their own way. And yes, technology gets some here too. And because of the way that AI has been used, everyone basically has their own version of a reality. And social media is a big part in that too, with their echo chambers just repeating what you believe. What you search for is what you get in your feed. So unless you search for things that you personally won't be satisfied with, it's all just confirmation bias. And that's something that everyone does today, whether you're on the left or on the right. Not taking time to educate yourself on a subject before speaking out online. Mixing personal beliefs with facts. And there's of course nothing wrong with having personal beliefs, but if they crash with established facts, then it's a problem. Then you basically get chaos like you've never seen it before. And the movie's themes are all about that. The movie, on a technical level, is very well shot, very well directed by Ari Aster. The cinematography is done by Darius Kanji, and he's one of the best cinematographers of all time. He shot one of my favorite movies of all time, Seven. And that was a really beautifully looking movie. And this one is too. He uses a technique here, and it's mostly motivated camera movement. And not that much for flair's sake. and it's also a very bright movie, mostly taking place in daytime. The movie is a neo-western, so there is a lot of rural environments and a lot of desert environments, which means a lot of sun and a lot of light and a lot of desaturated colors. The performances are for the most part great, especially from Phoenix and Pascal. They are both great in the leading roles, and the story overall works very well with a lot of symbolism, like I said before. If I had to say something about the story, is that Ari Aster tries to do too much. Too many themes, and not all of them get the full arc and feel incomplete. I also feel that Emma Stone and Austin Butler, they are wasted in this movie. They just don't have big enough roles, and they are very talented actors. Overall, I would recommend Eddington. It's political satire that isn't preachy, and I do think it's one of the best movies of the year. I am giving Eddington an 8 out of 10. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. Also, don't forget to smash the bell icon so that you don't miss any of my future videos. This has been Phantom Frame. Thank you so much for watching.